Yeah, we're good. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to today's Quran study. God willing, we'll be reading from Surah 22, verse 13. Let's all seek refuge in God from Satan the rejected. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. He idolizes what is more apt to harm him than benefit him. What a miserable Lord, what a miserable companion. God admits those who believe and lead a righteous life into gardens with flowing streams. Everything is in accordance with God's will. So if we look at verse 13, and then I guess kind of also taking into verse 12 to account too that we
Wait,
read.
John. One thing. So the volume is very low in the YouTube. Your volume in the Jitsi is fine, but I think maybe you need to turn it to the maximum.
It is the maximum though.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean I can turn the mic on maybe from OBS, but I don't think it's that good.
So it's coming from your phone,
Yes.
right? So yeah, it's fucking strange.
Yeah, but
It's coming from because it's coming from your phone, but your computer volume is not good. Your output volume on your computer that is picking up on OBS. That is dialed down.
It's showing the green bar maxed out. Let me see if I can let me see if I can change it. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, now it's better.
It's better now.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. They're fucking amplified, baby.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's the same, but it's fine.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wait, I think I might be able to. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, this might be better or no. Maybe I can try to speak closer to the phone.
I think it probably is fine. Just don't worry about it.
Okay. So verse 13, like thinking about verse 12 about idolizing. So this is the real strain that is that we're told about in the Quran, and this is exactly why we're here. If we remember the original crime and the great remembering the original crime, like we don't recall what uh, happened, but I'm referring to remembering what we have learned from being in this world about the original crime and the blasphemy, from what we know from the Quran and what has been explained to us, in this final testament. Because if the statement "La quwwata illa billah," no one possesses power but God. This is the ultimate truth. And so like verse 12 I just said, that's the real strain, is to think other than that, and to attribute power to anything else, because it would essentially mean that you're giving godhood to something else. You're essentially saying, without directly saying it or believing it, that this entity or a creature or thing could somehow, I mean, God be glorified, I was a lie, but somehow override God's will. You know, I mean, if you think about what it really means, so this is very important to us, for us to get this truth, firmly established in our hearts, uh, if we really want to be successful. And we can see too, this is a miserable Lord, for most, the people that commit idol worship. Um, this is because uh they aren't free in the sense, like they aren't, as we'll read, the following verse in a minute, but in the sense of having the ultimate freedom and knowing that God is running everything, God is in control, versus having the devil as a Lord, even if, I mean, if people are worshiping Jesus or their boss or Muhammad, um, or anything else, this is, or even money, these things are miserable lords in the sense that they become their enemies, and for the humans and prophets or and so forth, we know on the day of judgment, these creatures will disown everyone that followed and worshipped them. And we can see, verse 14, those who believe and lead a righteous life, we can see the great reward. So this is, believing in God isn't just lip service. I mean, as we know, it's through our actions. It's also through our thoughts, and it's believing that God is running everything. Because if we only know, we could know all His or know all 99 names. I mean, we could even have them memorized or recall a bunch of them just by heart or memory. But if we don't believe that God is running everything and that God is doing everything, and that only God possesses the power, then we've essentially been tricked again, because this goes hand in hand. And what really makes God God, and why God is so great. Happiness now and forever. If anyone thinks that God cannot support him in this life and in the hereafter, let him turn completely to his Creator in heaven and sever his dependence on anyone else. He will then see that this plan eliminates anything that bothers him. We thus reveal clear revelations here, and then God guides whomever He wills. So this is the real happiness. And this verse, just I'm sure for all of us, at difficult or trying points, or even not. So we could think about this any and all times of the day, when things are also going good. But especially we can see that the end of the verse where it says he will, you see that this plan eliminates anything that bothers him, because there's a lot of things that bother us in this world or could concern us, or that we could become distracted. But immediately, when we remember God, we realize God is all that matters. And it's a freeing, a very freeing, like escape from like the tentacles of this worldly life. That, I mean, Satan is always looking for opportunities to exploit us, to forget or become distracted. So this is happiness now and forever. So God, we realize God is the best supporter. I mean, He's always been supporting us since, I mean, the time we were created, and even since the time we came into this world, right? Even prior to submission, we can also reflect on all the times God has saved us, from our mistakes and our troubles, and He's the most merciful. So this is kind of what I was touching on earlier, that completely letting, like the saying, let go and let God. Uh, I mean, the part of that saying, I know like the idea, but I've never really, uh, maybe we don't have to let God do anything, let God be glorified, but in a sense, like let go and allow yourself to, um, be a submitter, do it for yourself, because God doesn't need any of us. He doesn't need us. We're the ones who need him. So let yourself, turn completely to your creator in heaven and sever your dependence on anyone else. Because like the verses that say about all our provisions are calculated. I mean, so this is a very good verse. There's nothing for us to worry about. And this is planned, as submitters. This should eliminate anything that bothers us. If that, I mean, just looking around how he's controlling the sun and how, I mean, we've made it up to this point. Like we have never went hungry or starved or any of those other things. And there's a verse in Matthew that the messenger referred to as well that was good about how humans, we shouldn't worry about our provisions, because it says, "Do you not see how God provides for the birds and and they get all the provisions, and yet we've been honored over them. The children of Adam have." So we have thus revealed clear revelations here, and then God guides whomever He wills. God, the only judge, those who believe, those who are Jewish, the converts, the Christians, the Zoroastrians, and idol worshippers. God is the one who will judge among them on the day of resurrection. God witnesses all things. Yeah, we understand that God is the ultimate judge, and we can even see, in other parts of the Quran that some of the messengers' responses, about how they say they leave this matter of judgment to God. Um, that they're only a manifest warner and also a bearer of good news. But of course, like amongst these people, we're not responsible for their hereafter, of course, or their guidance, and in a sense, meaning their guidance that would, God willing, get them to the right place in the hereafter, back to God. Yeah, I mean, it's also, it's saying those who believe. So, I mean, there's Jewish people that do believe, the converts, the Christians, the Zoroastrians. I forgot who these uh, who these specific people are, Zoroastrians. But verse 18, do you not realize that the God prostrates everyone in the heavens and the earth and the sun and the moon and the stars and the mountains and the trees and the animals and many others among the people are committed to doom. Whomever God shames, none will honor him. Everything is in accordance with God's will. So everything submits to God. The matter of submission is already decided. And thank God for this, because, I mean, now becoming submitters, it's the path to freedom, and we wouldn't want it any other way. Because, obviously, out of God's mercy, we're here, and despite us trying other ways, before submission when we're living in ignorance, but I mean, even, those times, all the things that, all our sleep and our food and provisions, when that was all being given to us by God, and yet He's still so merciful. Most people are still passing by heedlessly. He gives us time, and we know, up until the age of 40, as age of responsibility, this is a reflection of how merciful God is. So everything in the heavens and the earth prostrates to him. And in Zoroastrian, so referring to the previous verse, Zoroastrians are the one. Uh, Zoroastrianism is the one is the one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions founded by the prophet Zoroaster, probably Zoroaster, in ancient Persia and modern day Iran, approximately 4,000 years ago. It centers on the worship of one supreme God, Ahura Mazda, like and revolves around the ethical principle of good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Zoroastrians treat fire as a sacred symbol of God's light and wisdom, often maintaining sacred fires, and so yeah, they worship the fire. Yeah, I mean, it's you can see how idol. I mean, in the sense it's idol worship. Like they treat fire as a sacred symbol. I mean, why not treat trees or a squirrel? I mean, the sun or the moon. To limit it to fire is kind of shortchanging yourself big time. Or even a rock. Because we know but they'll probably laugh at you and call you stupid or like, oh, you worship or you use a rock as your symbol of. But that's not the point. The point is that everything in the heavens and earth glorifies God. So everything you can refer to as sacred. So we can see, the consequence of their idol worship. And it's the same thing for people who worship Jesus or Muhammad. They're I mean, if they don't snap out of it, they're going to be the most sorry people on the day of judgment, right? Um, so, I mean, we just see the mountains, the trees and the animals, everything prostrates, even us, and submits completely to God. And God is in control of all these creatures. I mean, such is the greatness of God. Everything is in accordance with God's will. Verse 19, how terrible is hell? Here are two parties feuding with regard to the Lord. As for those who disbelieve, they will have clothes of fire tailored for them. Hellish liquid will be poured on top of their heads. It will cause their insides to melt as well as their skins. They will be confined to iron pots. Whenever they try to exit such misery, they will be forced back in. Taste the agony of burning. So this one has a footnote. So 99 to 22. People who have insisted upon going. Okay. People who have insisted upon going to hell will inevitably complain, quote, had we known how bad this is, we would have behaved differently. They will be told that the horrors of hell have been pointed out to them in the most graphic, though symbolic, terms. It should be noted that heaven and hell are almost invariably mentioned together in the Quran. So invariably meaning like, I mean, I'm sure we know what that means. But I'm saying that because the other day I had to look up the term invariably. I don't know if it's because I'm using AI too much, but like type fast and I misspell words and stuff, and so I'm picking up a lot of it. It's making things easy for me, but in the sense, it's kind of I'm it's like helping me too much, but because I don't have to remember. But anyway, that's why I was talking. So invariably means like consistently every time. Um, it's not inevitably. Inevitably means it's destined to happen. But yeah, so invariably, heaven and hell. We'll read the verses about heaven next. But yeah, this is nothing that God does not shy away from anything, and this is information that is here for a reason, and it's really it's for everybody, it's not just we can't think that, oh, it's just referred, for the disbelievers or idol worshippers, because we have to remember that the idol worshippers and disbelievers don't even believe in the Quran in the sense, not, I mean, the blatant idol worshippers may not even open the Quran, but um, we know the true submitters are gonna be the only ones that really take heed of the Quran, right? So, but this is still, for us to see, and be reminded of uh, what the other consequence is, and of course, with heaven, there's because it's kind of, I mean, now that we're here in this world, it's I don't know if motivation, two-part motivation, but the real motivation is to return to God and to be with God forever, because that's the bliss, really, you know, uh, is being in the comfort and security of our Lord, and God willing, living forever, as close as possible to our Creator, you know, and He'll provide for us forever, God willing. God willing, we make it, But this is that's the best destiny is heaven. But I mean, so these are pretty graphic things, just going back to these verses, because I mean, this is not, on the day of judgment when the people that end up in such a terrible place, it's not like they didn't have any signs or warnings. And you even have, similar warnings in the Bible and stuff, right? But it's not to the same degree nearly as the Quran. I mean, they talk about outer darkness. And I think they might use the word Jihana or Gehenna, however you want to say it, uh, and Tartarus. But they talk about the gnashing of teeth, which, I mean, they're pretty scary verses, honestly, in the Bible too. I grew up hearing them. It was like really scary. But this is all allegory, as we know. So, if I mean, how painful and bad this would be in this life, it would be much, much worse, right? Because this is what our minds can comprehend. Because if we, refresh uh, like our understanding, that I'm sure we all have a good understanding of what an allegory is, but just to refresh, it's to explain something that otherwise, because we're limited, uh, by like our dimension, time, space, etc., and our senses, and much more than that. This is the best or most appropriate description, right? But we know this is it'll be much more intense, probably worse than anything we can imagine. So I mean, this is very heavy stuff. And then, yeah, the two parties. I'm not sure. Well, two parties. The way I see this, there's one party that believes, and then maybe another party, because it says, "As for those who disbelieve." So maybe it's in the context of like the following verse sentence, how it's being framed. Like one party's advocating, but at the same time, it's interesting because like we don't submitters. I mean, we don't really we don't really feud. I guess like in the in the context of inviting, to God, and then if you don't want to believe, fine. Your judgment rests with God. I'm not gonna sit here and feud with you and have fumes coming out my nose or something because you don't believe. So I mean, this is yeah. I mean, but moving on, verse 23, the bliss of heaven. God will admit those who believe and lead a righteous life into gardens with flowing streams. They will be adorned therein with bracelets of gold and pearls, and their garments therein will be silk. They have been guided to the good words. They have been guided to the path of the most praise. So this is the best destiny, because it's not even the rewards of heaven. I mean, the real heaven or paradise is being close to God and just that's what makes it so great. It's not. I mean, yeah, we have all these like provisions and stuff, but the as we know, like how the messenger mentioned God's energy and His presence. Those who fail to develop themselves will have to run, but those who nourish themselves, they'll be able to withstand in God's energy and enjoy it. Like enjoy it, like where it is, it feels everything about it. So these are allegories again. Gardens with flowing streams. I mean, if you just imagine like the most beautiful garden, like I really like Japanese gardens, um, and then streams and stuff. Like we've seen a lot of beautiful places in Europe. Like Switzerland, these amazing mountains and valleys with rivers, and I mean there's like travel channels and stuff you can look at, and then we know, of course, all the beautiful things that God has created just in this earthly realm. Like the metals and different jewels and stuff, and then garments like silk. But it'll be much better than that, and it can be that too. If you want. Like the verse says, they will have there anything they wish. So and then there's another verse I think that says about things that previously were given or provided for us. I'm kind of forgetting, but uh, I mean it'll be this and much more, much better. So this is the real destiny that uh, that is far better. It's the path to the most praise, as the next verse says. So that's the real. This is the real life, and mashallah, may God help us to make it there, and may He bless our affairs with His guidance and shower us with His mercy. Surely those who disbelieve and repulse others from the path of God and from the sacred masjid that we designated for all the people, be they natives or visitors, and seek to pollute it and corrupt it, we will afflict them with painful retribution. Uh, so that we know there's a clear message here about not repulsing people from the path of God and from the sacred masjid that was designated for all the people. And we can see that the Arabs do this big time, not just with their satanic lifestyle and religious practices, the cursed Arabs, but uh, but the rites. I think that they've tried to change during pilgrimage. Maybe it's not the rights, but it's the timing and stuff. So they make it convenient for them. I mean, they're wicked disbelievers. I mean, they deserve annihilation just on that basis, right? Just for corrupting the sacred months, that God has decreed and making it so impossible and difficult for people. They're also, you could look at it like they're indirectly responsible for people dying there, because they try to crowd everybody, at the same, they design it in a way where it's convenient for them, and everybody has to go on a single day unless they know otherwise, and people get trampled to death. I mean, this isn't anything new either. This has been happening. The messenger of the covenant talked about this, and they polluted, they corrupted. We know the altering of the sacred months. But I mean, of course, it's talking about the sacred masjid here too. Uh, but it's all it's all the same. They're all. Um, and also, I mean, people like Edip Yüksel, for example, I didn't know that he until recently, but he says you don't even need to do pilgrimage. I mean, uh, it's really something to see how far people can go off of the path, right? To the point of just elevating their opinion above God and His messenger. You know, there's a verse in the Quran that says, "Oh, you believe, you should not elevate your opinions, you know, above that of God and His messenger." And it's not God and His messenger's opinions either. Maybe I'll have to find an exact verse, but this is just ego. So you know, this is pure ego and arrogance, and we can see that you know, these people aren't successful. I mean, they still haven't killed their ego in some form or fashion. They haven't submitted a firm submission, which is what causes them to go astray. And that's what when you come into submission, you know, you don't argue uh, with you know, the clear facts or truth, even if you don't understand them. I mean, you submit because if you don't adopt submission, I mean, really from the get go, you're gonna end up being led astray somehow. You know, Satan won't get to you. But that has to be your foundation and basis. Um, you know, because then later on with time, things like the age of 40 and so forth. I'm just speaking for me. Was it'll be understood, like it'll be cemented firmly with time. You know, maybe as you look more at the math proofs and the miracle, or just understand the messenger of the covenant. You know, and then everything about you know the religion and so forth. But if you reject, you know, or you object to this information, you know, you end up like people like Edith. He's just one of them, but you know, a lot of other people who come up with these wild ideas, you know, that have no basis, you know, like the Quran talks about. Um, Pilgrimage, like all duties in Islam, decreed through Abraham. We appointed Abraham to establish the shrine. You shall not idolize any other god beside me, and purify my shrine for those who visit it, those who live near it, and those who bow and prostrate. And proclaim that the people shall observe Hajj pilgrimage. They will come to you walking or riding on various exhausted means of transportation. They will come from the farthest locations. They may seek commercial benefits, and they shall commemorate God's name during the specified days for providing them with livestock. Eat therefrom and feed the despondent and the poor. So, footnote for 26 and 27, Abraham was the original messenger of submission, Islam. We can also see 2278 in Appendix 9. You know, so this is very important. Sometimes it's even one of the ones that I forget. You know, I don't forget about its existence or as part of a religion, but I guess you know, as far as like not to draw distinctions, you know, every pillar is I think that uh, the uh, the five pillars or you know, every pillar is important. You know, the shahada, the contact prayers, the fasting, the charity, and the pilgrimage. But you know, sometimes because maybe some of us haven't observed this, you know, it's we don't think about it too much. But I mean, at some point, this kind of makes sense, you know, because like until we grow our soul, like really sufficiently, and has spent enough, quite a long time, you know, in submission, that's when we can, you know, God willing, observe Hajj pilgrimage. I mean, you know, because especially we have an entire surah named after it. So this is, you know, the most important. There's some really heavy information and important information in the surah that we've read so far, the last study as well. But this is, you know, this is the focus, I guess. I mean, everything's a focus, but this is you know, what uh this, you know, this is the I guess how to say it, you know, the focus probably. You know, one of the things, most important subjects in this area. This is truth. Like how people come from the farthest locations and various means, uh, and you can see commercial benefits. And also eat from the good provisions, and feed the despondent and the poor. They shall complete their verse 29. They shall complete their obligations, fulfill their vows, and visit the ancient shrine. So this is something, God willing, after the smoke, that would be, uh, you know, we can all do. Those who reverence the rights decreed by God deserve the good reward of their Lord. All livestock is made lawful for your food, except for those specifically prohibited for you. You shall avoid the abomination of idol worship and avoid bearing false witness. So we can see, only someone who really believes, like a true believer, is not gonna mess around or play around. I could say, like with this type of like they're gonna reverence the rights. They're not gonna sit here and change things like the Arabs do, and not just the Arabs. I mean, there's other people that add or detract things from the religion. Because we know that even like we don't even we any change to anything, I mean, reflects disbelief and wickedness, right? Because and then you're trying to rewrite the religion, or you're trying to basically lie about God, or twist the scripture or invent the scripture. And we can see this was done heavily with the Bible, and that's which is why it's not a source of religious guidance. I mean, this should be very clear for submitters. And I mean, even if they were to follow the Bible to a T, right? Like some of them want to, they could look in Isaiah, and all the way back then, Isaiah is writing. One of the prophets of the children of Israel is writing about the wicked hands of the scribes. So I mean, changing the scripture. So it was already happening at the time. So I mean, the distortions. So to follow, put your trust 100%, in something like that is not too wise. And especially because we have a confirmed scripture mathematically coded. The Bible as we have it today isn't uh, the original, right? Word, the Torah, and the Injil gospel, but we don't have those complete, records today. So I mean, it's uh, good for historical sense. And I can say this too, because I mean, especially I grew up heavily in Christianity, and I see, I don't see, but I'm noticing from what I hear and what I observe, there's a lot of submitters that didn't have it, and they're like flocking to it as like a source of religious guidance, which it should not be. It's a source of reference, and in light of the Quran. So anything that is in there that contradicts the Quran or that doesn't, we know it's easily detectable, right? I mean, there's nothing that even comes close to being compared to the Quran, really. I mean, there's a reason why the Bible wasn't preserved, like it's not in its full. I mean, the reason why the Quran is still here, because it's the final testament, it's the ultimate, uh, it's the ultimate message, ultimate uh, book, so to speak. Like I think I heard the example given a while back that said, it's like a college level textbook, comparing it to something you get maybe in high school or middle school. So that's, and what are you going to use? Like the college level textbook's going to have way better, more intricate, and better information. Okay, just wrapping up here. You shall maintain your devotion absolutely to God alone. Anyone who sets up any idol beside God is like one who fell from the sky and gets snatched up by vultures or blown away by the wind into a deeper being. So that's what, Satan will just wait for people to idol worship and snatches them up because it has no basis in idol worship. Indeed, those who reverence the rights decreed by God demonstrate the righteousness of their hearts. livestock offerings during pilgrimage. The livestock provide you with many benefits for a period before being donated to the ancient shrine. For each congregation, we have decreed rites whereby they commemorate the name of God for providing them with the livestock. Your God is the one and the same God. You shall all submit to him. Give good news to the obedient. They are the ones whose hearts tremble upon mentioning God. They steadfastly persevere. During adversity, they observe the contact prayers, Salah, and from our provisions to them to give to charity. The animal offerings are among the rites decreed by God for your own good. You shall mention God's name on them while they are standing in line. Once they're offered for sacrifice, you shall eat therefrom and feed the poor and the needy. This is why we shall do them for you, that you may show your appreciation. This is, mashallah, very important. And it feels so good to be appreciative too. It's like a double blessing. Because you're growing your soul and you're doing what you're supposed to do. But then it's like a positive snowball effect, right? Because then being grateful. Uh, uh, So we have a footnote. I'll read this last verse and we have a footnote, and we'll open uh, floor for discussion. God willing. Neither their meat, nor the blood reaches God. What reaches him is your righteousness. He has subdued them for you, that you may show your appreciation by glorifying God for guiding you. Give good news to the charitable. So this is it's very good, even just thinking about like why, even for the night of destiny, which is God, which is coming up tomorrow, for everyone. This is, and then pilgrimage and all of these things are there for us to be appreciative and glorify God for guiding us and to express our appreciation. So, verse 36 footnote: animal offerings from the pilgrims conserve the resources at the pilgrimage site. Note that almost 2 million pilgrims converge on Mecca during the pilgrimage. So, with this being said, if there's any comments or questions, please feel free. Thank you.
MashaAllah, brother.
Sure.
MashaAllah, very good to study, brother.
Mashallah.
Yeah, there were basically two things I wanted to maybe we can talk about. One is, there is still this belief or idea in some certain groups that they think that you can be a submitter, like a Christian submitter or a Jewish submitter, and then do all these practices, which is in the Bible, for example, even if you have received the message, even if you have heard about Dr. Rashad and about the miracle, etc. So my understanding is, that this verse, this speaks about the people who don't know about the miracle of 19 and Dr. Rashad and the Quran, right? Like, that is what I understand. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
What was the question exactly was about? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the verse where it says, you have the ones who believe in God, believe in the hereafter, and do righteous deeds. These are the minimum requirements to make it to heaven. But when you receive the message about the messenger of the covenant, for example, you are required to believe in him and accept
Mhm.
him as a messenger and accept the Quran. And because some certain people, they still think that like you don't have to believe in the messenger even
Oh yeah,
after.
they're failing the test at that point. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes, because Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is also the point where you have the uh, what is it called? You have the Jewish submitters and the Christian submitters. So they think that you can be a Christian submitter and then, or a Jew, for example, and do the Sabbath, the But like my point is, the moment you receive the message about the Quran, the Miracle of 19, and Dr. Rashad, that's the moment where you are going to be tested if you're going to believe in it or not. Like you can't be a Jewish submitter who knows about Dr. Rashad and the Quran, and and not accept the Quran. That's not possible.
Yeah, this verse is right. That's very true. And this verse is, like rejecting the messengers is a tragic human trait. And verses about, like how the people, um, when it says when their own prophecy came to pass, and this is literally in the Bible too. These people turned into disbelievers. Not, I mean, like also with Muhammad, the Christians, many of the Christians at the time, they were idol worship, like exposed, because you can see like the real Christians are the ones who, when they heard the Quran being recited, they fell down with their eyes because they never heard it before, and then they fell down like weeping because they knew it said this fulfills our Lord's prophecy, and this is the truth, and they're happy. Versus like the people who didn't believe, and we can also see like in Sir, I think it's talked about Sir, not Sir, but Joseph. It says they said the last messenger was Joseph. And they did that with Jesus, I think too. Or no, they didn't. They actually, Jesus spoke about Muhammad. Even Moses did as well. And Jesus, I think, also spoke about messenger of the covenant. But like when these prophecies and scriptures came to pass, they rejected them, and they failed the test. I'd say most of them, not all of them, because there are believers. But yeah, that's very true, and I mean, it's a really exacting and grueling test too. Because like you want these
Hmm.
people to believe and want them to pass, but like if they don't, then they're just, I guess, yeah, like you said, they have to be tested because they're,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah, also imagine like someone who accepts the miracle of 19, accepts the Quran, accepts submission, he accepts everything. But when it comes to Dr. Rashad being the messenger of the covenant, and then they fall out. In the messenger of the covenant, he speaks about this. So, there are so many examples where we can definitely conclude that the verse where God says, when we talk about Christian submitters or like Jewish submitters, those are the people who don't know the message. They don't know about Dr. Rashad, right? Like, please correct me if this is
yes, yeah,
wrong, but you have people.
yeah, they're like submitters, right? Because like when they, like, I don't call myself a Christian anymore. I'm just a submitter, like submitter, I guess, if you wanna. Because you,
Hmm.
but before that, before hearing about the message or any of that, you know, uh, I became a Christian submitter, uh, which
Hmm.
there's still very few of them. I think I mentioned you had met one.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was but yeah, I mean, a lot of people like they drop out, or they think we don't need messenger or whatever their reason is.
All right. Yeah, and the other thing was, it was about sacrificing animals. Um, like I remember finding out that there were more voice recordings of Dr. Rashad, and Suleiman had placed this on also on the on online, right? And then basically the main idea was that when you sacrifice an animal, you need to mention the name of God while sacrificing. And one of the last verses you have read, um, aren't those verses like very clear? The verse where you have read that they are standing in line and then you need to mention God's name. Maybe you can read that again. A
Yeah,
few verses back.
yeah. There's also a verse in Surah 6, verse
Mm-hmm.
138. It says they also prohibited the riding of certain livestock, even the livestock they ate. They never pronounced God's name as they sacrificed them. Such are
Mm-hmm.
innovations attributed to them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
What
also
was
you
this
shall
also
eat.
connected
No, I was just did a search. Okay,
to the
someone.
audios? I don't remember because I don't remember.
uh, I think I remember maybe Brother Suleiman.
Yeah, so basically, out of from this verse, can we understand that God tells us to mention His name while sacrificing the animals? That we really need to mention this, but
yes,
it's also fine if you don't mention any name, right? Like this is what I understand. First of all, as submitters, we need to mention God's name. But if there's a person who doesn't mention any name while sacrifice, then it's not a sacrifice, really, right? Like you're not really sacrificing because sacrifice is meant to, it's for something, right?
are they not a submitter? Like, or they're just are from another.
Maybe an atheist who just is a butcher and then he sells meat, and while he is, killing the animals, he doesn't mention anything at all, while doing his work. And because he doesn't mention any name, it's not prohibited for us to eat from that, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think
Yeah.
correct.
So, and from this verse that you have read, we can conclude that as submitters, when we sacrifice, we definitely need to mention God's name. And one of the things I was reminded of are these audios that came after. We received these new audios and then we spoke about it. And basically, I remember Suleiman was talking and he was summarizing it for us. And he said, I have listened to all of them. And the main point is that, as submitters, we need to mention God's name when we do a sacrifice.
Mhm,
That's what I remember.
mhm. Yeah, and the verse from I think I just read too from and in the verse here is tells us that we should mention his name. But yeah, I think the thing, yeah, you're remembering too is like you can't sacrifice rice or bread. So I think there was an innovation where people came up with that you can't eat food that was cooked or sacrificed by someone who wasn't or didn't mention God's name. You know,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, my mother, when she's cooking, she mentions Muhammad's name a lot. Like when she's cooking rice, when she makes these turns or like she's using certain things, and then every time then she says the salawat. So she mentions Muhammad's name, but like because you can't sacrifice rice, uh,
right.
so basically it doesn't mean anything. Like
Yeah,
we
but
still
if
can
she's
eat from that.
mentioning if she's sacrificing animals, like mentioning Muhammad's name, I believe we
Yeah.
not eat from that. Yeah, it's really
Yes.
crazy. Like, I mean, like Muhammad isn't even there. Like he's not even the one who grew the rice. Like what? I mean, I know we know this and we talk about it, but it's like when I hear something like that, it's just so crazy. Like people, or people think Jesus, like thank you Jesus, is what they say. I was Balahi, but for not getting in a car accident, and I'm like Jesus doesn't even know what cars are. I don't think. So
Yeah.
how yeah, it's like the verses we were just reading, the absurdity of idol worship. You know, anyone who
Mm-hmm.
sets up an idol beside God is like one who fell from the
Mm-hmm.
sky,
Mm-hmm.
gets snatched up by vultures. I mean, like imagine falling from the sky. Like if you were to picture like falling from the sky and splattering, and let's say you're still alive, and then vultures come eat you, probably.
Mm-hmm. There's also
It's
this example where, when you forget something and you want to remember it, we had learned this from very young age. They said, yeah, just you need to say the salawat, yeah, like you need to mention Muhammad's name if you want to remember. You forgot something to say or you forgot anything at all. They say, yeah, just remember Muhammad, and then you will remember that thing that you forgot about. So this is really implemented in Sunni religion. Also Shia religion. I saw, I don't know, maybe you guys have seen this one as well. There is this gathering that they had, and this guy was like yelling and saying certain words, but then he was just calling help and asking Ali and Hassan and Hussein, because they are Shiites, right? So, and what they do is they mention Ali's name and Hassan and Hussein's name all the time, so they're expecting help from them, but they're literally expecting help from Ali, that Ali or like Hassan or Hussein or their souls, or I don't know,
Like
maybe in human form they
like
will
they're
come.
come to them as a human and then help them.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes,
so
really.
like let's say I showed up to help these people. Like I didn't know that what they were saying. They would think like you could be Muhammad reincarnated.
Yes. Maybe.
Or
You
if like or if some wind blows, like they'll think like Muhammad's spirit or something. Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. Also, for example, you have this person that Moses and his helper went to find, and the story where they were traveling together. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that person has a name in Sunni and Shia religion. In Sunni religion, they call him Khizr, and Khizr means the green. It's called green, and his name is Khizr. So they still believe that this person is alive, and when you summon him, or if something happens to you, for example, you're walking on the road and then you miraculously are being saved by someone. Let's say someone holds your hand and then stops you from crossing the street when a car comes, and then you turn around and then you don't see anyone. Let's say, so you would think, oh, this is that guy, the same guy uh, who
Thousands of
was
years
with
ago.
Moses. Yes. So so they're but literally asking for his help. Like if he can come and help you out with your situation. It's really a common thing, in Sunni religion, especially in Turkey. They most of the time say, yeah, like it was Hızır and he came and he helped and I saw Hızır.
Yeah, it seems like like all these little uh, stories and stuff, like another way for Satan just to get people not to think about God or what's in front of them, like the Quran and like yeah, like it's funny, but like looking back, some of the Arabs that I've met, I didn't know they were Arab. Like I didn't know the difference, like being Palestinian or Lebanon or whatever. But yeah, like I would like years ago, I would back home in Louisiana, I would see him at the gym or something or whatever, and I would like just be like talking about the Quran. And I remember asking him one time, they didn't even know what Surah 113 and 1. I had learned, I think I was trying to learn it, or it was Surah 23, verse 95 and 96, or 90, was it 97 and 98, the Rabbi al Bikkerman one. Um, they didn't even know what I was talking about, and I thought it was the craziest thing. But I thought they were like they would know the Quran like better than anybody. And then yeah, it's like just in hindsight is what I'm saying. We're looking back. It's these people. Just get so
Yeah,
many stories and like other things to distract them from like to the point. They probably don't even know like this one guy from Palestine. I was asking him these really basic questions, and
hmm
like he didn't even understand. And I didn't, at the time it was so crazy. I'm like, there's no way, like he doesn't know. Or I thought he didn't want to talk about it, But looking
ah,
back, as I was asking him questions, and he was just kind of smiling, and then like I forget what he said, but I'm like, man, this dude's like he doesn't want to talk. Maybe
hmm
but they don't.
yes,
looking back, they don't even know, and it's so crazy. But like they'll tell you very like intricate stories about these hadiths or what the prophet did,
yes,
like
yes.
this guy, and I'm like, man, this is just a way. And like the things you're mentioning, for Satan, to like give people so much garbage that they don't focus on like
Yeah.
the jewel in front of them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, in Sunni religion, brother, like in most of these countries, in like Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, or like these Muslim countries, when you are when you are in a small age, you most of the time go to the mosque, and in the mosque, they teach you how to read the Quran. They teach you about religion, right? But for example, the most simple thing like doing the ablution, we didn't learn this from the Quran. Like there is this book, it's called like the Basics of Religion, let's say, and it starts with telling about like we need to pray 5 times a day, do the fasting, the Hajj, the pilgrimage, that kind of stuff, and then who Muhammad is, and then his friends, and what that means, and how to do the ablution, for example. And these are just books uh, written down, information totally not from the Quran actually. Like you don't learn how to do your ablution from the Quran. You learn it from all these books, and the things that are written there, when you read it, even like there is not even a hadith where it says you step by step how to pray. There is no hadith. Like you have so many different hadiths, and these are all different from each other. So you can't, even if someone would say, I believe in hadith and we learn from Prophet Muhammad how to pray. And if you would ask them, okay, please show me a hadith where you step by step can
They don't have it.
learn how to do the prayer, you cannot. It's like very different. So that's why you have these groups, the so-called clergymen, that have collected these hadiths and maybe even the ayats, and from that they just made up the prayer how the most of the Muslims pray today. Like even the ablution in every the Sunnis do it differently, the Shiites do it differently. Within the Sunnis, you have Hanafi, Shafi, and all of them are doing it a little bit differently from each other, and they don't have like a real line, where you have step by step. While the Quran tells us how to do it, ablution, step by step, God tells us exactly how to do it, but still they don't follow that. So it's a common thing not to follow the Quran, of course. And like you said, it's from the devil. It's clearly from the devil. He worked really hard to trick people in believing that the Quran is not sufficient enough. It's not detailed enough. We can never understand the Quran. We need the Hadith to understand. Without, and even like there is this main idea that when you have a Sahih Hadith, it's about a topic, for example, and you have also a verse in the Quran about the same topic, and when they contradict each other, they say you need to follow the hadith and not the Quran. Like they go, yes,
Yeah,
really.
that's really
This is
bad. Yeah,
really,
that's really
really. They
bad.
say the hadiths are also revelations from God, and if we read the Quran and there is a hadith saying something else than what is written in the Quran, then we follow the hadith. They say, like to this
To
level,
that
they will
extent,
go.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Those are
Yeah,
like trying to
and and
hardcore.
brother, and brother, when you think about us coming from that world, from that world where people were just you literally take the hadith instead of the Quran ayats, like we are extremely lucky that we could get out of that world. Like this is so immense, and like we need to be extremely grateful that we really had the
Yeah,
opportunity to leave and we could see that it was
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. It's almost like reminds me of the movie. You've seen The Matrix, huh? Like when Neo escapes. The movie.
Director.
The movie when Neo escapes the Matrix. It's because it's
Yeah.
kind of like that. Because like everybody else is still. I mean, really, it is kind of like following Satan, and his beliefs, or his following the belief system, believing in Satan and his lies. That's pretty much what it's akin to. It's like that. Yeah, Yeah, thank God that
Yeah, definitely, brother. Definitely.
does anybody else have comments or questions? Brother Suleiman.
Thank you, mashallah. No, I don't have any questions or comments yet.
Okay, much.
Yeah, Suleiman, did you hear what we said about the sacrifice part?
No.
Oh, okay. So we were saying when John was reading these verses, and it was about sacrifice, and while sacrificing, you need to mention God's name.
Mm-hmm.
So my question was like, is this also was this also related to the new audios that came out about Dr. Rashad? And I remember you mentioning it, and you gave a summary to us in the group about what basically the new thing was, and that was when you sacrifice an animal, you need to mention God's name. Maybe can you like correct me if I'm wrong? Wasn't that the case with these new audios? And
I
then,
don't think
yeah.
so.
Oh yes, okay. So can you maybe because that's what I remember. I thought that was the main thing about the new audios.
No, I don't remember anything
Maybe I
like that.
remember.
I think it was about like people. Well, no, it confirmed what I think Brother Suleiman had like talked about in Friday sermons before and discussed with people that who said it was prohibited to eat food like rice or bread or and apples and stuff because where others names were mentioned upon it because you can't sacrifice. Oh, it had to do with dedication. You know, you can't
Mm,
dedicate. Dedication means, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it constitutes the word like sacrifice. Like you can't dedicate. And this is where the
Mm-hmm.
messenger clarified that dedication it has to do with sacrifice. Like you dedicate animals to God. You
Mm-hmm.
can't dedicate rice or an apple in the sense of because you can't sacrifice it.
Yeah.
It's not like a true offering. It's not like an offering, right? You can't. I mean, we see in the Quran that there's offerings. Same with the previous scriptures too. You know, like about live animals, livestock are offering sacrifices. They don't even So I mean, that's what right,
Yeah, that's correct.
Brother Joffrey. You
okay, yeah, mashallah. Yeah, yeah. Now
uh,
it makes more sense.
also,
Because I thought it was like connected with that. And then my next question would be like, but this verse is very clear about mentioning God's name while sacrificing an animal. So
mm,
why would that be new information for us? Like that wouldn't make sense, right? Like, but okay, so you can't with normal food like an
yeah, you
apple
can
or
eat
rice,
right.
like you say.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm,
if they say Jesus or something, because you can't dedicate, or
mm-hmm,
the messenger talked about what dedication meant,
mm-hmm,
and it had to do with sacrifice, and you can't sacrifice apples or pears or
mm-hmm.
anything. Because I mean, they're
Yes, yes.
not even living creatures. Like they don't, a pear or whatever. I don't know why I'm thinking of
Mm-hmm,
pears. Maybe I'm craving fruit or something.
mm-hmm,
Okay, but yeah,
yeah.
for
But
sure.
aren't there living creatures in apples, like very small microbes
Yeah,
hidden in
yeah,
it?
yeah. There's
That
little
would be
worms
really
and
funny.
stuff. Like
Yeah,
the
dedicate all these.
yeah, the kids' books and stuff, like the little worms. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Like I grew up with
Yeah.
some of those books, the little the caterpillar and stuff that goes inside.
You accidentally eat it, and it was dedicated to
Yeah.
God, to someone else than God.
That's fun. Yeah.
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 Yeah, makes sense, mashallah.
Yeah, so when we talk about the rights of our religion, like in the context of verse 32 and I think 30 and 32, um, that's the that's not just for pilgrimage, but that's for everything, right? They're talking about the pilgrimage rights here as well, but that goes with anything.
Verse 32, you said, brother?
Yeah, verse 30 and 32, you know. Because you know how the Arabs change,
30,
Uh,
30, 32. Those who reverence the rights decreed by God?
hmm
This one.
right, yeah.
All
That,
life is
that
my death. Yeah.
that means like the rules and stipulations of our religion, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like what the rights are, when it comes to fasting, charity, pilgrimage, and we can see that the Arabs, right, they change the months, they alter the sacred months, and then they also you know, change the pilgrimage, Hajj, and make it very difficult for the people. The messenger talked about this, where everybody shows up on one day. I mean, you can still do it, I think, during another time, but I mean, this is very bad, that they do this because then it's very difficult for people and it's convenient for them and just reflects their disbelief, right? And then people die because of how crowded it is.
Yeah, and I think we also need to, you maybe already mentioned before, but what happened is that the sacrifice of animals, it's like in chapter 22, it's in pilgrimage, and God clearly says, that the ones who are doing the pilgrimage, they need to do the sacrifice, right? But what they have done is they have done, or the most Muslims of today, they think that everyone needs to sacrifice this when it's the same time. So this is also an invention in religion. So in submission, we don't have, I don't know what's called in English, the sacrifice. What is it called?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's sacrifice.
it's
The,
just only sacrifice.
yeah,
The day, the 3 days, they have made 3 days out of it.
3 days or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you sacrifice the animal, and the
You
next
talking about
three
Eid?
days. Yes, they made an Eid out of it. Yes, that's what I meant,
Right.
brother. And then it's clearly that this verse is meant like you need to sacrifice the animals as a commandment of God, but this is for the people who are doing the pilgrimage. And the reason it also says like in 36, animal offerings from the pilgrims conserve the resources at the pilgrimage site. Note that almost 2 million pilgrims converge on Mecca during pilgrimage. Like that was mainly the reason, right? Like to conserve also the resources, that it's not going to be totally used by the people who come for
Right. So they're not
pilgrimage.
like right. So the
Hmm.
sacrifices that are made,
Yes.
are coming from really other parts of the land because the pilgrims are
Hmm.
coming from other parts of the land. So if you were to sacrifice like all the animals
Hmm.
natively, then you would, when people want to actually eat or are hungry, they wouldn't have much to eat, and it would mess up the resources. Yeah.
Hmm. And how could we see this today? In today's world, when we have transportation and like we can get like resources from everywhere, from the whole world. But what I think is this is like um, it's meant to protect the area, right? And today, since we have the ability to transport food and all kinds of livestock, right? It's much easier actually if you compare this with the earlier times.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, if right, it's a good question. So if we were to do this, I mean, what would we should do or need to do? I mean, I thought about definitely. feeding as verse 28 says, eat therefrom and feed the despondent and the poor. And
Hmm.
just from, I mean, some
But
of
we
the
still need
things
to do
like,
it.
yeah, and from,
Yeah, it's a commandment, right? Yeah.
right.
But maybe it's easier
But
now
how do we,
because
yeah, how do we, I guess we'll bring an animal with us or something. Or we'll bring, like, how do we fly with him on the plane or no? I'm just making a joke there, but no, like, how do we go about this, you know?
yeah, I think there's already some kind of a transportation and some kind of a way of,
So we can
bringing the
purchase,
animals. Yes, and
yeah,
then you can purchase it, buy it.
okay.
And yeah, what I understand from this, also from the footnote, is that um this is a way of, like, submission is a really practical religion. It's really practical, right? So God is, so there you have this problem with the livestock that is currently there and the food that is in that area, but it will never be enough for all these people who are coming from all of the world, right? So it's not going to be enough, and this is a solution, especially in those times, to solve the problem with the livestock. It really makes sense. But today it's much easier. I think we can see it as that, like, still we need to do sacrifice, of course, when you're in
Uh-huh.
pilgrimage. But in our case it's much easier because of the technology, the transportation system, and everything made easier for us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it says we should complete our obligations, fulfill our vows, and visit the ancient shrine before being donated to the ancient shrine. Livestock offerings during pilgrimage. So when we talk about sacrifice and offering, does this constitute the same thing? Like, in a sense, I mean, it's a two-part process, right? Like, you sacrifice, then you offer. Is that right? My understanding.
You sacrifice, then you offer. What do you mean?
Yeah, because we're talking about the verses here, brother. And, like the animal offerings, and then we're talking about sacrifice.
Yeah. So the way you offer these, in sacrifices, that you sacrifice them.
Okay, so when it's saying the animal offerings are among the righteous, so it's the
Hmm.
same. The animal sacrifices and offerings, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so when we donate it to the ancient shrine, like verse 33, where does it go? We know not their meat nor their blood reaches God, but the righteous, our righteousness does. But what are they? I guess, like, I never thought about this before, but like the process and what does it look like? What do they do with the?
They distribute it to the poor and the needy people.
Okay, good, mashallah.
Yeah.
Do
And
they
then
still
you.
do they still do that? And, like, we know how corrupt the Arabs are and stuff. But do they actually even do this? Like, if we were to go, I mean, I know, like, we talked about going after the smoke, and years later. But, like, if theoretically we were there right now witnessing that, would they be doing this properly? Or would they just, like, take it or not? Or what do they?
Mhm. I don't know. I guess that's a good question. I never looked into it, how they're actually doing it, but it's definitely a good question. Especially when if we're not doing it at the same time as them. I mean, how does that actually work? Yeah, but I guess when my best guess, I guess, is if we're doing it ourselves, around the time when we're not doing it with these people, that we can still just sacrifice an animal, like pay someone to sacrifice an animal for us over there, and give the food to. I mean, there's plenty of needy, poor people around.
You had
Local
mentioned
people. Yeah.
I was
Hmm.
fixing to say about, like, just the things you've seen, like, the
Hmm.
children and people starving on the streets and like how
Yeah,
the
little children begging on the street, toddlers even.
that's so bad. Like
Yeah.
a child having a bag. I mean, and then these people are filled with gold and silver and like.
hmm
I mean, what if that was them? You know, like what? I
hmm
mean, they would want to be fed. So why aren't they doing it for them? I mean, they're so bad and evil. Anyway, it's like
Okay, so like I asked Gemini, so it says you buy a voucher and they basically use that voucher to appoint a project to your agent to perform the sacrifice on your behalf. And it's a long process. But then once the animal is slaughtered, you receive a confirmation SMS so to proceed to the next step of Hajj.
yeah, but how do we know they're not just taking our money and they're actually sacrificing? You know how like the corruption
hmm
can be widespread. Like, oh, we'll just sacrifice it in spirit, and they don't do it. Maybe they'll do like a certain amount for people, but like, do we get to
hmm
see? Though I want to honestly, I want to see and get verification.
Yeah.
Not just some email or text message saying, "Oh, you're," like, you know what I mean? Like, just because of how untrustworthy the Arabs are and their
hmm
corruption. Maybe it's just me being
Yeah, it says some meat is given to the poor and the needy, and then it says the majority is cleaned, chilled, and vacuum packed, then flown or shipped to dozens of Muslim countries to
no.
feed the impoverished.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the sacrifice called Hadi for pilgrims commemorates. Yeah,
But you gotta wonder, maybe are they really doing this to the fullest extent? Because
probably not. I
we
mean,
still have
yeah, but
poverty
I
in
think you
pretty
can.
much
Yeah,
countries.
but
I feel like if they were, maybe they would. We probably wouldn't be as. It wouldn't be as bad. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
hmm
Like the poverty and hunger, like it's so bad. I guess it's you kind of makes you scratch your head. Like, okay, you really like sending all this, or you're just selling it to some profitable business that your buddy runs, and you're getting a kickback, and then he's getting this food for super cheap. You know what I mean? Like, knowing them, they're probably doing that, or maybe I don't know, maybe not.
hmm
But at least I guess like the responsibility with us lies on what uh like we can't go and. But I would feel a lot better if I actually got like an animal sacrifice, and then they give it to me, or they and then I go and like myself I feed it out. You go hand out dishes and plates of food or whatever packaged food of the animal or the sacrifice to people along the street. I feel like that would be more productive,
yeah.
instead of letting them be the middleman, and God knows what they decide to do.
hmm
But yeah, I think maybe after the God willing, after the smoke, it's like there's gonna be a better
hmm
what are the term, the keepers or janitors or go custodians, yeah, not janitors.
Janitors.
I'm sorry, I couldn't think of the word custodian.
uh
And I was thinking, because like back in like school and stuff, we would I think they would sometimes call janitors custodians or head
Mm-hmm.
custodian or something. So that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Jaffa said.
Yeah, and John, you were laughing when you said the cursed Arabs. Was it the same reason why you're laughing?
Oh,
What I think? I
yeah,
caught you laughing, yeah?
yeah,
I knew exactly what went through your mind.
yeah. That's why. Yeah, they're so evil. Like children are starving and stuff. Like the messenger talked about like the dead babies being thrown in dumpsters too. You know, like they don't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so John, it says that you can go to if you're physically in Mecca and want to see the sacrifice with your own eyes,
Yes.
and you don't have to use a digital coupon. Go to the open complexes in the Mina Mecca boundary. There are 4 open complexes for sheep and 1 for camels and cows. You can purchase the animal on site, inspect it yourself to
Uh-huh.
ensure it meets the requirements like its age and health, etc. And then either perform the slaughter yourself or watch the butcher do it. And
Oh,
you're
maybe.
physically, and
Yeah.
then it says you're physically present to purchase from purchase to completion.
Oh, so I could do it myself and even buy it from them. Then I can give it to people.
Give it to people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably honestly, I would feel better doing that.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
voucher, I mean, the voucher seemed like the idea, I guess, is good in a sense, but like just because of them it's the Arabs and stuff. Like I'm like, no, I don't know if I'd you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually cool. That's good that they still have that and offer that. So they allow camel sacrifices too.
Hmm.
That's cool. Yeah, that would probably be hard to sacrifice though. I don't know, like for someone who isn't experienced, maybe doing it.
Right.
It's a big, strong creature. Maybe a little goat or lamb or something would be easier.
Yeah. It's not like livestock, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it is livestock, but yeah, it'll be more difficult to handle.
Mhm.
Probably more expensive too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, we could still donate it to the ancient shrine, but and then from there, the custodians or people that are helping and doing the right thing, they would be equipped, right, or better equipped to have a distribution system, right, for the needy and the poor. But
Hmm.
being that, I guess it could. I mean, I know God doesn't. He makes the religion very easy for us, but at the same time, it's. I don't think it would be too much. I mean, I'd want to. I'd rather do it like the way you had just read. Just
Yeah.
it's probably not even that much. You just gotta walk a little further and then find
Yeah.
somebody, and then give it to them. And then,
Yeah. It says you can actually sacrifice, like I said there, but you can't carry all the meat yourself. You can just take a portion of it and give it to others, and the rest you have to give it to the project for them
okay,
to be able to do it. Yeah,
okay. Well, at least I'll
for
get.
many practical reasons. Yeah,
Take as much. Right, right. Yeah, carrying. Yeah, that could be a lot of me. Yeah, at least I'll carry.
yeah, and you need a permit. You need a permit to do that, I guess, and it probably won't be easy to get a permit.
Oh, because they think, oh, what if this person poisons the food or it's not? Like,
Yeah, it's for many
right,
operational
right.
reasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
That
made
makes
it
sense.
unlawful. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. What do they?
Clement,
What
did you
do they
do
do?
the pilgrimage before?
Do a background check or something? You know, like what? I
Huh?
mean, how do you get a
No,
permit?
I did Umrah,
Oh, okay.
not Hajj.
I'm not sure.
So it'd be kind of difficult to get a permit to get the food from them.
I think the permit is for like professional distributors.
So, wait, no,
Like
but
for these, they make it
oh,
like that, you know, like
but we
you
don't, we
can't
don't
carry
need.
the meat in the streets and meat can get spoiled and it can be a
Right.
health hazard, etc. You know, so
I see.
you're only allowed to take a small portion of it yourself with yourself.
Oh, but you don't need a
That's it.
a permit for the small portion.
No, no.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, good enough. You have to just, I mean, do the commandment. You know, really.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That would be good enough. Right.
Because the rest of the meat, you know, God willing, will also get distributed eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly to your liking, but you know.
Right.
mm, But yeah, but you can also just buy the coupon and. But yeah, that's I would probably feel more comfortable seeing it in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
Uh,
I had a question about 20 to 15. It says, if anyone thinks that God cannot support him in this life and in the hereafter, let him turn completely to his Creator in heaven and sever his dependence on anyone else. He will then see that his problem is anything that bothers him. Like, does this mean, like, should we understand this verse like God tells us, if someone thinks that God cannot support him in this life and in the hereafter, um, search for someone else who can help you, but you would easily see or immediately see that no one else can help you than God. Does this verse mean in that context? Like, can you help me out with this? Because
it
I
means sever
know.
your dependence on anyone else. This plan eliminates that anything. This plan, will ensure that anything that bothers you, you know, is taken care of. Like, like let's say if you're dependent on your spouse for your happiness, you know, sever your dependence on her, and then you'll see that this plan will eliminate anything that bothers you about her being not happy with you. I mean, that's the only example I can think of. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't really understand.
Let's say if your happiness is centered around your wife being happy with you,
Okay.
right, or being,
Or just having a
or
spouse
your
to begin
boss or
with.
whatever,
Uh-huh,
Right.
uh-huh.
Or
being happy
someone.
with you, and or someone, your friend or whatever, being
Uh-huh.
happy with you, and you're just always dependent on it. You're trying to please them all the
Mm.
time, and it bothers you.
Ah,
Obviously,
okay.
if their expectations are not met, and you're just obviously you're a slave to them at that point, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Trying to meet their expectations.
mm-hmm.
So God says, sever your dependence. If you think that God cannot help you, sever your dependence on all of these other things and put your dependence on God alone. You know, and you'll see that this plan will eliminate
That will
anything
work. Yeah,
that
that will
bothers
that
you.
work out.
Will get
Mm-hmm,
rid of all your problems.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, or even, I mean, God created the male and female in pairs and for us as mates, but also on that same token, if people think that they need another human to be happy or a spouse, like if they can't find like true happiness without one, that's also bad. I'm just thinking like even for myself, if something, you know, like because essentially, if that was the case, and it is a case with a lot of people. I mean, I'm speaking from the past. I mean, before submission and things, not that I went to marriage counseling or anything, but I was different types of counseling and different like a lot of people around my age, younger, older, and stuff. Like, not gonna. get too much into. But like it's a common thing. It's called codependency. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is something like that I don't want to single out myself, but I mean I guess I'll do it for the sake of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you don't have
Uh,
to.
yeah, but anyway, but like it's like no, I mean it's okay. I don't care. Like but people, but it's something that many people uh I mean, if you aren't a submitter, that you could struggle with, and this is like
Mm-hmm.
pretty much almost every human being that isn't a submitter. I've seen this, like even
Mm-hmm.
Christians, or Muslims or atheists or agnostics, whatever. But this verse is so good in that sense, meaning you sever your dependence on someone else, so all that matters is God, and then God willing, He'll bless you with a righteous spouse, and even children too. And we can see these are, but but yeah, like as Brother Suleiman mentioned too, and as I've thought, like with bosses and stuff, or things that can stress you out. I'm not saying our boss should stress us out, but things of the world like that.
Mm-hmm.
That can bother us. We can
Yeah.
see, we can see that it eliminates things that bother us, like the verse says. Anything that bothers us, get rid of it. Right. Uh, that's all I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like also I think it reminds me, all the idols you have in your life, get rid of them, in other words,
Yeah.
and just put your dependence totally on God alone. And God says, that will fix all your problems, basically. And as God says, in the Bible too, like, seek God's kingdom and everything else will follow, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I used to hear that so much. Like people always they're talking about seek first the kingdom of God, then everything else will be added unto you. And
Mm-hmm.
like even like back then, you're not really sure. I mean, you kind of have an idea what it meant, but like no one, I don't think anybody could ever really grasp what that truly means, unless they have the Quran and the message of
Mm-hmm.
submission.
Subhanallah.
Like yeah, they can. Like I didn't know, and I mean, and all the
Mm-hmm.
people I know, they're just it's like they're just repeating, but none of them even know it. It's kind of like secret information that you don't have access to until
Mm-hmm.
like coming to submission. And mashallah.
Mm-hmm.
Like how in the context of like how the messenger talked about kingship and queenship on earth, and
Mm-hmm.
then like how God is doing everything, and then
Queenship, is that a word?
I don't know, but I didn't want to
Never
leave it.
heard it before.
Yeah,
Maybe it
I don't
is.
I don't I don't I don't I don't know if it's a word. I kind of made it up on the fly because I didn't want to like didn't want to leave out
Uh-huh.
the
Right.
kings and the queens part, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Maybe it is a word. Maybe we need to look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
The queen can live with the king.
yeah, yeah. I guess like unless you're like the Queen of Sheba, right? I mean, but she ended up living, mashallah, she ended up living with Solomon after.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I wanted to know maybe, verse 35, it says, "They are the ones whose hearts tremble upon mentioning God. They steadfastly persevere during adversity. They observe the contemporary salat, and from our provisions to them, they give charity. They give to charity." So, like, they are the ones whose hearts tremble upon mentioning God. Like, how should we understand this correctly? Like, does this mean that, of course we respect God and we mention God all the time, we commemorate him, we try to follow all the commandments. Like, is this something different? Like, is there something special about the words which says whose hearts tremble upon mentioning God? What does it mean when it says tremble upon mentioning God?
Hmm. Yeah, mashallah, that's a good question. It means that they really reverence God. They have deep respect for God, and um, when you really love someone, or the just the thought of their name, their it has an effect on you, a certain effect on you. Like, and when you think about God, I mean, if you really have deep reverence for God, I mean, this is something that happens, right? I mean,
Has to
um,
do also with the pilgrimage, maybe, brother, because you're there, you are doing the pilgrimage, you
no,
are
this
like,
doesn't
yeah.
necessarily have to do anything with the pilgrimage. This is just
Hmm.
a general verse that they're the ones, the people, you
Hmm.
know, the righteous people. It's talking
Yes,
about them. It
yes.
says that they're the ones whose hearts tremble upon mentioning God. They steadfastly persevere during adversity. They observe the contact prayers. So it's just talking about righteous believers in general. So when you mention God, or when someone mentions God,
Hmm.
because you love God so much, and God's name is, I mean, God is so awesome, right? Like, for example, if let's say, for example, if there was a really and I'm just giving a negative example, but excuse me, just to give you context, right? Let's say there's some really ruthless, evil, dangerous ruler among you. I hope we can relate to that. Um, uh, I can't, but for now, anyways, because the ruler is so ridiculous. But let's say you have someone that is kind of like a worthy opponent in a way, but like formidable opponent that one could be scared of, right? And as soon as you even mention their name, like, when, like, for example, if there's a child, right, and he's doing all these evil things, you're like, hey, be careful, like the police is gonna come or whatever, and the child immediately, disciplines himself. Like, I don't know if you've experienced it with kids, or young kids, or something like that, for example, right? So in a similar manner, like, when it comes to God, like, we're not like afraid of God like he's some kind of a monster or something, but we reverence him because of his awe and his majesty, and his omnipotence, and
Yeah, how
everything else, right?
amazing he
Yeah,
is in,
yeah.
yeah.
And so also, so that psychologically, if you have the reverence and love for God, like, that should hit you, in some form. Like, it picks
Hmm.
you up in a way, like, every time God is mentioned,
Hmm.
it has some effect on you,
Hmm.
like,
We
it
talk about these
it
amazing things that God is
resonates.
capable
It
of.
doesn't necessarily mean like your heart starts to shake and you get a heart palpitations and or something,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
You start getting
You
heart
start to
palpitations.
shake.
Mashallah.
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
mm,
reverence and like
mm,
deep affection and respect, and
mm,
kind of like awe.
yeah,
AWE. It is
mm,
like infinite majesty and
mm,
the most honorable Lord.
mm, yeah.
Mashallah.
Like, imagine if someone like really idolized, some celebrity or whatever, or let's say the president for some people. They really idolize them, and then all of a sudden, like the president shows up or something, and like all of a sudden they get excited, or it has an effect on them, right, in some way. So like that's how should be for a believer. Like when God is mentioned, like it kind of jolts them.
I remember. Even, yeah, now, oh, okay. Like, in most Turkish communities, for example,
Hmm.
when you mention the president, you
Uh-huh.
know, they really like it. Like they're like, how do you say, awed by it? Like I don't know if that's the right word,
Uh-huh.
but they really find it special.
Uh-huh.
Or when they hear that he's coming, then they are so they feel themselves
Hmm.
very lucky.
Hmm.
So with that, someone can reflect upon himself, right? Like to
Yeah.
see if that is the same in your case. Like
Hmm.
what makes you feel like a little bit different, right? Like if,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Like I can imagine if you have an idol, like a singer, or like for example, we have seen this right on TV when
Hmm.
Michael Jackson comes to a place, all those
Everybody starts
people are,
screaming.
yeah, screaming, yelling, and then. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19, what was it? 19 to 22. Also, the footnotes was very special. Says people who insisted upon going to hell will inevitably complain. Had we known how bad this is, we would have behaved differently. They will be told that the horrors of hell have been pointed out to them in the most graphic, though symbolic terms. It should be noted that heaven and hell are almost invariably mentioned together in the Quran. Like, this is one of the reasons why God is mentioning and telling us how bad hell is, and then gives these allegorical examples, right? Like, to also
Hmm.
eliminate any excuse. And basically, it's still going to happen, right? Like, people are still going to
Hmm.
say, yeah, we didn't know about it. Um, but when God sends a message to you, telling you about how hell is gonna be, and then tells you to be careful, and then to accept the message, etc. And if you don't, look that way, and you turn away without even maybe reading it or listening to it. Had we known how bad this is, we would have behaved differently. Like how else would it be possible um, for the human beings to know about the hereafter while you are still being tested, right? Like it doesn't make sense if there was like this huge screen where people could look and see hell. Like it doesn't make sense. So yeah, like it's the best example how God sends a book which is mathematically proven that it's God's words, and it explains to you all details about hell and heaven. And this should be sufficient enough, because
Uh,
if it wasn't sufficient, then people would really have an excuse, to say no, it was not good enough. But it is indeed.
that's what, yeah, that's how I understood, always looked at it. Like it nullifies the excuses. Like these people would still act this way, even if they had known, even if hell wasn't described to them, or was, or likewise paradise. The fact, like these people would still try to claim this. As we can see, they'd still be lying in hell. Like even if hell wasn't pointed out to these people, they would make this claim. But God nullifies their claim. As we know, that's one of the reasons, one of the purposes, like that. If I'm remembering correctly, that serves like as part of this world, and is to nullify the excuses for the really really bad people and the hardcore rebels. But I also thought about it before. I mean, even if because I heard what you said and I thought about it. Like even for people who, let's say, never even got the scripture. I mean, it's just knowing, being in this world and knowing that evil exists, and like seeing, I mean, it's we know this world is like a mild or mild hell and temporary taste, like as uh, you know, uh, described and or explained by our messenger, and with the Quran, so just to clarify that, but so like even for these people, let's say that didn't ever open the Bible or open the Quran, I should say. But I mean, the Bible, it's in there. So, but let's just say they didn't have any of that. They're still in a way, they're able to see. Uh, they're able to get some type of taste for it. I mean, even if they, I don't know, they break an arm or something, or they
Yeah, I
fall and
think,
they something horrible happening
brother.
to their, like it's a taste
Mhm.
of hell. So
Yeah, I
it's a
think, brother, like if you as a person, it doesn't matter where you live in this world, even if you have like Christian parents or atheist parents, like if someone is a righteous person who seeks to learn the truth, about life, about why we are here in this world, like any normal person, if you're not born crazy, or like if you have like normal brains and you can think normally, you can think logically, like any person who's righteous would ask the question, okay, like what is the truth? Like why am I here? Is there God? And if you truthfully, and like being truthful also towards yourself, if you want to know the truth, if you want to know what is real, if God exists or not, God promises to guide you, right? Like the only thing that you need to do is you need to be um, um, you just need to ask for it. Actually, if you ask for guidance and you are sincere about those about that, then God promises to guide you. So anyways, he will make sure that you're gonna receive the message or know about it. Especially in our time, when there is internet, and gaining information is extremely easy, like wherever you are in the world, it's really easy. So I don't think they would have any excuses like, oh, we didn't know or we didn't hear about submission or about Dr. Rashad. Like I didn't hear about Dr. Rashad either. I was also like in search for the truth, and I wanted to know the truth. And like you really need to search for it, and you really need to want to know the truth. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke about the timeline and the sequences of what happened, and what's going to happen. So I understood that, when the second blow is blown, then all of us will be back in our human bodies, and we will be on this earth, and then the judgment will happen, and then the ones who gonna go to hell, hell will be brought forward, and they will enter hell, and the ones who deserve to go to heaven, they will again go to heaven. um, but does this mean that the ones who are gonna go to hell are gonna go to hell with their humanly body, or are they going to leave their humanly bodies again? Like, can you maybe, I don't know, Suleiman, if you have information about that?
Yeah, so so I know that when God says we'll be the humans will be restored to their bodies, like with the description that we have, we know that they won't be exactly the same the those same bodies that we had before, because the earth, for example, will be leveled and shattered, and we will all be airborne at that time, right? So the disbelievers will be like moths, and the believers will be like butterflies, right? So we know these aren't the same bodies because we don't have wings in this on this body, So it's different.
Oh, so it's not the exact same body. It's like my body right
No.
now is not going
Yeah.
to be that one. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we are going to be somehow
Recreate. Yeah.
recreated, but
Hmm.
that one is not a second death, right? Because it's not dying when the second blow is blown or the first one.
I mean, we would have already been we would have already died by that time.
Yeah, but like if you're a believer, then like that's not real death for a believer, right? Then you go to heaven, and then the first blow is blown. Then everything will be um,
No, I mean
destroyed.
that's sorry, I think I didn't understand. So you're saying talking about death being like when everybody who's alive is uh made unconscious?
Unconscious. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. No, that makes sense. Now I understand.
Right.
So it's
Hmm.
unconsciousness. It's not death. Okay. So the
Yeah.
first blow is done, and then you're unconscious, and then the second blow is blown. Then you wake up to the moment where judgment is gonna happen, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and then judgment happens, but we are not in our humanly bodies. It's like a different body, and then but we are in this world. Like the world will be recreated again.
Hmm.
Okay, and then we will be in this world with different
Hmm.
bodies, and then the judgment is going on. The ones who are going to receive the records from their front side will go back to heaven again, and the ones who deserve to go to hell, they will enter hell. The ones who
Hmm.
receive their records from their backs, they will enter hell. But will they enter hell with their new bodies, or like is it just their souls? And are we gonna enter, hopefully, God willing, heaven with our souls and not with that new body, or is it with the new body?
I mean, it doesn't matter. But we'll have some kind of existence at that
Right.
time. Just
Yeah,
imagine
God
it.
mentions it, so it
Yeah.
matters. If God mentions about bodies and
No, I mean we'll have bodies, right? But I mean, I'm saying for the here for
Brother,
the paradise,
brother
we'll
John.
have some. We won't be invisible or something,
yeah,
right? I
but
mean,
our
we
souls are
will.
not invisible.
Yeah. So we'll. But on Earth at least we will have those earthly bodies. But we'll be airborne, right? That's what we know, and then we will go back to paradise, right? So now, what happens with those new bodies when we go to paradise? Like I
It doesn't
don't
matter.
have that explanation. Do we leave them? Do we keep them? I don't know exactly, right? But the important thing is that once
That you make it to
we
heaven.
are
That's the
created
most
those
important.
with those new bodies, the righteous believers will enter paradise. The disbelievers will enter hell, and the people who are in the purgatory will also be annexed into the lower heaven. Right, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I mean, the thing is, like, I say this because it's really easy to fall into this stuff. Like, I often find myself with other people. If I get into Quranic discussions, like we were in one yesterday, and like the devil really loves to make us say things that we're not sure about, and draw like hard conclusions, like and try to connect the dots sometimes, and I'm afraid to do that because that's how we can end up saying things that we're not sure about. you know um
Right.
it's sometimes it's better to just, if you don't know, you don't know. That's the safest thing. And the relevant things obviously have been clearly given to us. I mean, it doesn't mean we can't ask questions, but I guess once the question is asked, like, what can we how can we answer it, like, if we know, you
Brother
know
John wants to be extra prepared.
yeah, yeah, no, I mean, of course, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, like if the
But the thing
information is there, that means that this
Yeah.
information
uh
was
yeah, yeah, but I mean, like,
meant for us to
we don't
know.
know exactly, like I said, like, we don't know
Mhm.
exactly what happens with when you're created with a new body. It doesn't say anywhere, for example, that you leave that body, you know so
Right.
I would assume maybe you keep that one,
Hmm.
or we do, but really the thing is, it's something we don't know how that works, right?
Hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna get in another body, you know. But you
Hmm.
know, it's a totally different dimension. Like we have to see and find out, really, you know,
Hmm.
like these things. And frankly, like it wouldn't matter, you know, if you're
Hmm.
keeping that one, or you'll have a special one over there. Or you know, God says, for example, I guess irrelevant, going back to the relevance, you know, like God says, you know, the righteous people will be adorned with bracelets of gold and silver and all these beautiful, so we'll have a body, right, of some sort that will dress, or you know, and the spouses also, you know, like they'll be beautiful, God says. Even the servants will have some kind of existence, will they have some bodies that God says they look like scattered pearls, you know. So
Yeah, I've thought
um
about that before.
yeah.
The servants
Hmm.
are
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
not they're not angels, but they're not creatures like us. They're just
Hmm.
different. I guess different
To
Hmm.
serve
automated.
only,
Yeah,
created
I
especially
kind of
to serve,
right. I kind of thought about them
Hmm.
like it's like something automated, like because they're not. We know they're not angels. We know they're
like
not.
AI computers with bodies. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I mean, if they,
Yeah,
how
but
they
no,
feel inside, you know.
I know.
Which
But they
color?
could be just as,
Yes.
they could be just as you know,
It's our
living.
color
I mean,
coded
God created, you
anyways.
know, look, God created angels, right? I mean, the angels are serving God all the time, you know, and
I
on,
thought about
you
that
know, with their
before,
free
but I
will too.
quickly realized like it's not really important in the sense of like delving into like the most important thing
Yeah, we
is to
can
make it.
investigate, God willing, if we go there, and then you
Yeah,
can ask it
exactly.
all these questions. You know, you can prompt it and stuff.
Damn.
God willing, if we make it, you know, inshallah. So,
That's
yeah,
topic questions.
yeah. So, yeah, I was saying again, you know, like, you know, we often find ourselves in discussion where, like, we get into these unknown areas, and then, you know, sometimes some people actually like to get into those areas, and they like to like show their ideas, you know, to other people, which does scare me, you know. Like some people like to do that, and they want to give like that extra insight, like they especially got, you know, from it, which will not be in the Quran. You know, it was something they made up, you know. And yeah, it does scare me, you know. um John
As if they
probably knows what
know.
I'm talking about, you know,
Hmm.
Yeah,
because he
like
was there too.
because
Yeah.
it's
So.
I've mentioned it before, like our last study or time before, like we've talked about. Or no. I think it was in my sermon, one of the sermons I gave there about vain talk. You know, it's about God is running everything, and then it's because maybe it's a little different the context I was using, but it's along the same lines in a sense because there's like this saying or old proverb that and it's true, you know, because like thinking about this, but like oftentimes when we open our mouth, like you can get yourself in a lot of trouble, even if your intentions aren't, you know, and let's say
Hmm.
trying to answer somebody's question or you just get pulled into these conversations and like it could happen at work and stuff. And then I think it was actually Solomon. Yeah, it was a proverb that it was very profound and it was pretty simple, but it basically said like it's wiser to keep a closed mouth because if you like on many matters it's wiser to keep a closed mouth because sometimes like we can rush into opening and just kind of saying these things and Satan will use that, right. He'll try to make a claim on us or he'll just keep feeding the whole situation and then next thing you know now like we're like
Hmm.
kind of what happened yesterday. uh,
Hmm.
and what I've seen too, like even for non-religious matters, I've caught myself, and I think that's what someone came up to me after the sermon and said they really liked what I said. Because I mean, I was speaking from experience, and that's most of
Hmm.
everything when I try to talk about these things, it is because I've gone through them and
Hmm.
and and suffered at the hand. But like when you're talking to coworkers or something, and you're just, I think I was like talking about the weather, and you know, it's just vain talk, really, like, because we're not saying anything positive or good, and then next thing you know, here I am, like, complaining about how hot it is, and it's not even really that hot. We're just talking to talking, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not good, you know, when we do that, like, if it's not. And you know, because you end up getting pulled in. Next thing you know, like, if you would have just stayed quiet, or talked about something better or righteous,
Yeah.
instead of just vain talking. And now
Mm-hmm.
I've racked up sins about being a complainer, being unappreciative for the heat. I mean, what if, like, it was the temperature of Mars? Like, I would be like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's the same, I guess, the same, like, concept, like, as what you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about. It falls
Yeah.
in the same line,
Yeah, but I mean, like, for example, like, you can see, based on the things like you hear about on Discord, from coming from Discord, like what kind of absurdities they come up with, just far
Yeah.
in terms of conclusions, right?
Yes.
Which are not in the Quran, right?
No.
So we can make conclusions, hard conclusions about
Right.
things that we don't know of. They're not in the Quran, you know?
And
Like,
yeah, like you said,
yeah,
brother, mashallah, it's better
yeah,
just to say I don't know. And that's
mm-hmm,
part of, I mean, and just, like, fall back on the
hmm,
Quran, because, like, you can't
yeah,
ever go wrong with what is in the final testament, you know.
hmm,
And yeah, like you said, like, there's people that come up with these ideas, and that's probably, honestly, that's probably how a lot of, like things with the afternoon prayer, how they and they've changed the time.
hmm,
Maybe it started out like something like that. I don't know.
hmm, yeah, yeah. And I think, at the end of the day, of course, comes back to God's guidance, right? If God guides these people, they would be guided. But of course, God doesn't guide such people, so they just don't get anything useful from their reading. And I think it also goes back to like our friendships and who we hang out with and stuff. And of course, if people are gonna insist on hanging out with hypocrites and uh, enemies of God, then God would take the guidance away from them,
Yeah,
because they will rub off on them and stuff, right?
exactly. Right. Yeah, man, that's so true. And especially people that uh,
Yeah.
like that don't fully believe or accept the
Hmm.
messenger. Like,
Hmm.
well, I mean, we look
Yeah.
at them like as possible believers, and maybe they're open and stuff. But then,
Hmm.
like, you hear about, I wonder, I hear about things like insurance. I mean, Brother Jaffer, I'd like to hear your thoughts too. Maybe me and Suleiman. And it's kind of like conflicting, because it's like, okay, like, how can this person, I mean, seem like a good believer or whatnot, but then, they're basically saying it was the messenger's of something like insurance. And then, but if you really, honestly, I think if you really dig deep down into it, it's probably, I mean, it's a lack of trust in God, but it's probably just wanting to eat. I mean, it's not the, what's comforting, and this shouldn't comfort you though. God, if God is really your God, God's the comfort, not some insurance policy. But I mean, especially if you just keep it like my philosophy, simple ABC, 1, 2, 3, and then don't complicate things. And okay, the messenger was very clear about this. He even said insurance. He even said insurance agents are very close to Satan, or some along those lines. I mean, like how? I mean, why don't you just listen to this? You know, and I'm not. But I'm mentioning this because like Tucson, I think they've adopted this idea and stuff. So I mean, I wouldn't. Um, and that's
Hmm.
that's that's why. I mean, we can see how messed up
Hmm.
Tucson become. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't see the. I mean, if something that serious, I mean, yeah, these people do eventually rub off on you.
Mhm.
But if you're around them long enough, you could think like, oh, well, what if this? Not saying that happens to us, but I mean, it could. And then you say, oh, what if this person is on to something? Or like, what if they're? I mean, it's the whole point why we're supposed to run for our life. It's not like we're
Mhm.
Superman or Batman, and we can somehow put up this invisible shield, which it can maybe be like that for a certain time period,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
there's
Also.
very good reason why we have in the Quran that
Mhm.
like being around the like-minded
Mhm.
submitters, but not around disbelievers or hypocrites.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, mashallah. I also wanted to comment on verse 31. God tells us here that we should maintain our devotion to God alone. And it's so clear, written so clearly here in the Quran, right? That every you would think that everyone obviously would know that, and how many times God has repeated that you shall worship God alone. And yet you can see for these people who claim to uphold the Quran, full filled with hypocrisy, and how they're completely blocked, and they idolize, Muhammad blatantly, as if they'd not seen or read these verses ever before, as they're not even familiar with the Quran, like they have no idea, like uh, so many times, we go to places and they're playing the Quran, like even here in the United States, like we went to John and I went to a restaurant day before yesterday, and they're playing the Quran in the background, at the restaurant, as people are eating, and everybody's eating, people are talking, they don't have no idea what's crossing. Probably, maybe not even 1% of the people actually even understand Arabic, but they're playing the Quran, they have no idea what's in it, and they're all idol worshippers, most of them. And but like what I was saying was, so I was looking up some of the songs, and doing some work on my computer, and I wanted to paste a URL on my computer, but accidentally ended up pasting the lyrics for one of my zikr songs, which the words were like, Allah, Allah, la ilaha illallah, Maulana, right? Meaning, God, there's no other God beside God. He's our master, right? And the first two results that came up in the search were songs on YouTube, which says, God, there's no other God beside God, and Muhammad is our master, you know? And I was like so shocked. Like, look at Satan and how sneaky he is, and how these people are so, they how they insist on their idolatry. They can't help just, be happy with God's name, that they have to inject Muhammad's name like that, like so blatantly in there, like on purpose, Like it says, God is our master, and they say Muhammad is our master.
It's so repulsive. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like so just sickening. I'm sorry, but
yeah. But
it's
thank
like
God,
it's like
that
really
in
disgusting.
all of that, yeah. But thank God that in all of that idol worship, that we still can say say it, without any of this, and be completely satisfied with it. Because these people, as God says, they're not satisfied if you don't mention Muhammad. Subhanallah.
It's weird too. Like I remember you made me laugh. This is from a Quran study. I'm not exaggerating. Like it was about probably three years ago. But I remember you said something. You were the teacher, and I think I even remember where I was at. Your brain remembers certain things, but like it was a good
Mm,
point too. It's very. I never thought about it like this, but like when you're talking about how devoted they are and they're praying and singing songs or it was something like where these extreme like they extremely they're crying for Muhammad or something, and then like
mhm.
there's men that are crying for Muhammad. And then you said something that was kind of funny, but it's true. It's like it was kind of weird to cry for another man.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, because they were crying. Like, yeah, it's pretty weird, like to cry for another man. Like, just like, yeah, it's very true. And it's like kind of the same thing, like with Jesus, like you see
Mm-hmm.
grown men, adults in the church, and they're like salivating over, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's really grotesque type worship, and it's so bad and unappreciative.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, thank God,
Yeah, I mean, like now, tomorrow we have the Night of Destiny, God willing, for everyone, right? And I mean, thank God for all the zikr that we have with God's dedicated to God alone, right? But if you are to try to look on YouTube, I mean, you'll be struggling all night to find stuff
yeah,
with
yeah,
just God's name in it. There's nothing available. Like, even if you find God's attributes, like they talk about God's attributes, they mention 99 attributes of God, and then they wait till the 99 attributes are finished, and then they start praising Muhammad right away inside that same song. Every one of them. But
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
funny,
thank
my
God that.
dad. Yeah, it just reminded me like this is on my dad had saved a video of and I didn't realize at the time, but like, yeah, he was even like, it's so weird. But yeah, it was like, I remember it sounded very nicely, but then like it was very long, and then the guy was saying like Muhammad's
Mhm,
name, and then like you
mhm.
think back, and then like how come it
Yeah,
is?
mashallah. Mashallah, Huda mentioned that we should talk about the benefits of the Night of Destiny. And I was just funny because I was just about to talk about that, mashallah. And yeah, so, God willing, for pretty much all of the world, I believe, you can check in the submission app for your location, but for most parts of the world that I'm aware of, tomorrow is the Night of Destiny, God willing. So tomorrow after sunset, uh, God says the Night of Destiny is better than 1,000 months, not equal to 1,000 months, but better than 1,000 months, like, which is almost a lifetime, right, of worship. So we should all try to, God willing, stay awake and worship God as much as we can on that night up until dawn, God willing. And uh, on YouTube and stuff, like, we will have a broadcast also, God willing. And so people should, try to, join or follow along in their own communities or as individuals, if you're by yourself. And remember God, because, our soul will really grow in leaps and bounds every time you mention God on an ordinary day, right? But if you do it, especially on the Night of Destiny, I mean, imagine the credit being multiplied manifold, and we really, all of us, we really need that for our salvation to attain the high ranks. Of course, and God says the righteous believers, they compete with each other in eagerness, so even though, like, the person next door or your coworker or these people don't know about the Night of Destiny, and they'll never know about it, but at least for the believers, the believers, we all know about the Night of Destiny. We have so many mathematical proofs, mashallah. I mean, we have had more proofs even, coming in the last few days also, by the grace of God. So, we should really get the most benefit out of it by, mentioning God as, mentioning God's attributes, repeating his names. Also, you could, read some Quran too, but really, as if you want to see how to meditate on the Night of Destiny, we have a reference from one of the recordings of the Messenger of the Covenant also, and how they were doing commemoration repeatedly, mentioning God's name, his singing his praises all night. So, seeking refuge in God from Satan also before doing that, and during the process also, to get the most out of it, and be protected from Satan. And we know from those verses that, God says that angels in this night descend, to carry out God's commands. And, God, and of course the messenger explains that too, that, the angels see if there's anything wrong in your body, with your body, or any affairs of yours that are blocked, like you mentioned, immigration, etc. You know, like you should pray to God, because the angels can fix it by God's leave. And so while we may not understand each and every single detail of it, because we can't physically see the entire process, but given the awesome mathematical evidence that we have, we know that it is the truth from God, and we believe it. So we should, implore God for all the things, and of course, it's okay to ask God for worldly things, and you can ask God for worldly things, but don't forget about the hereafter. When you implore God for things, like, don't just implore God for material things. You implore God for righteousness, for the paradise, and guidance, and everything else, as well. More importantly, than anything else. So
That should be our priority. Yeah.
yeah.
And everything else comes next.
Hmm. Yeah.
So very good. Thank you.
Yeah, we will have a broadcast running also, starting around the time we started the study today, and going all the way to our dawn, which would be like the next day for most people in other parts of the world. But
Oh, okay. We're gonna start a little bit early.
yeah, we're gonna start, God willing,
That's
like in the morning, our morning time. When they're around their sunset, like in Morocco and Turkey and stuff. So
mashallah.
yeah.
Yeah, and remembering God's mercy too during like when we ask Him for these things, like
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to participate in that if it's not our night yet, because obviously we need to conserve the energy. But the streaming will begin
right,
for
right.
those people who need to, listen to these tracks as well. But of course, we also have a playlist inside the app. If you can't stream or whatever, for whatever reason, or you don't want to stream, we have a lot of songs in the Submission app dedicated to God alone. Um, and you can go there under the media section and click on the last tab, and you'll see all the songs that are available. And you can commemorate God on your own, or you can commemorate along with the recordings, and um, do that, God willing. Yes.
Yeah, because we only get so many Night of Destinies too, if you think about it.
Hmm. Yeah. Last year I got two nights of Destiny because
Yeah,
we had two different places, but yeah, this year you can't do
that's right.
that.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people could say not to compare, but that's interesting.
Hmm.
That's a
Hmm.
blessing. Yeah, being able.
Hmm. Yeah, because I was at one place and then went to another place where their night of destiny was a day later. But mashallah, I mean, just that one night is a blessing from God.
Yeah, because everything that we know now, like that we're
Mm-hmm.
studying about and talking about, it was we have it, because it was well, it was given to us by God,
Mm-hmm.
on this night.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Actually, maybe I can also share my screen here. It's probably a good idea.
oh yeah, and share the. I know we talked about it yesterday, but yeah, share some of the like during the stream, some of the mathematical
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That would be really great.
Yeah. So you guys can see my screen now.
Yes, yes, we can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So to keynote.
gift from God.
Mhm. This was from 2025. That's why. Okay, so it's more than better than 80 more. It says better than 83 years or 30,000 days or 730,000 hours. 5 million seconds. Okay. Okay, so God says it's better than 1,000 months. And so if we add the geometrical value of Lailatul Qadr and the geometrical value of 1,000, which is 616, we get 1,026, which is 19 times 27 times 2, right? So 27, it's a multiple of 19, but it's also a multiple of 27 to point out that Lailatul Qadr is, or Night of Destiny, is the 27th night of Ramadan. And that it is better than 1,000 months indeed, you know. So we have the mathematical confirmation for that. And that it's interesting that it consists of 9 Arabic letters, and it's mentioned exactly 3 times in the Quran in verse 1, 2, and 3 in Surah 97, and 9 times 3 is 27, right? So Lalatul Qadr is mentioned, which consists of 9 Arabic letters mentioned 3 times, and 9 times 3 is 27. And then if you look at the number of words, it consists of exactly 30 number of words, Arabic word. And if you see the 27th word is hiya, which means it, referring to the night of destiny. It says peaceful it is until the advent of the dawn. And so it here is the 27th word, you know, so referring to the night of destiny. And the geometrical value of Laylatul Qadr is 410, which is made up of these 9 Arabic letters, as we mentioned earlier. And these are all the geometrical values, so you can verify that. And so if we add 410, which is the total geometrical value of the above numbers, geometrical value of Laylatul Qadr, plus the number of the chapter, which is 97, and plus these verse numbers, you add them all together, it's a multiple of 19, exactly 19 times 27. Inshallah, 513. Also, if you add the surah number and the verse numbers where Night of Destiny is mentioned, the total is 103, which is the 27th prime number, right? So 27 again, it's a clear sign that the surah and the verse numbers point to the 27th night, point at the 27th night. And then uh, in if we include the unnumbered bismillahs of Surah 97, Surah 97 actually has 6 verses, one unnumbered verse and one 5 numbered verses. And so 97 plus 6 is also 103 or 19, or which is, I mean, also a 27th prime number, right? Same total as before. And if we add 27 to Lailatul Qadr, the geometrical value of Lailatul Qadr, we get another multiple of 19. 19 times 23, which 23 also is the number of years that it took to, you know, release the Quran into Muhammad's memory. But I guess that's not really that relevant. But um, so then Lailatul Qadr is mentioned in Surah 97 in verses 1, 2, and 3. I think that I already mentioned, right? It is same total, 103, which is the 27th prime number. I'm not sure if that's a repeat. And it's mentioned that it is better than. Oh, is my reversing it or what? Okay, and so it says if we consider the structure of the surah, it has 90. It's Surah 97, which has 5 verses, and it mentions 1,000 nights. Like these are all the numbers that we know, right? Uh, the only number that's mentioned in the surah is 1,000, so we add that also. So better than 1,000 months, that number is also a multiple of 19. Then, if you also add all the verse numbers plus the uh, 9 for Ramadan, number nine. Ramadan is the ninth month of the Islamic calendar, lunar calendar. And so you add that and plus the 27 for the night of destiny, and then the geometrical value of the night of destiny plus the 1,000 months. So this has all the parameters for the night of destiny. So if you add them all together, it's again a multiple of 19. And then Quran was revealed on the 27th night of Ramadan, the ninth month of the Islamic calendar. You add the geometrical value of the verses in the entire surah this time, which is 6,731. So you get again, uh, so you multiple of 19. It has 92 is the geometrical value of Muhammad. Um, so this proves that the Quran was revealed on the night of destiny to Muhammad, and that's 3 times a multiple of 19. 19 times 19 times 19. MashaAllah. And it says one might wonder, well, what about the geometrical value of the surah title and the Bismillah at the beginning of the surah? If you add up the geometrical value of the verses in the surah, also including the unnumbered Bismillah, then you get um, this number, which is 7,980, the total geometrical value, with the geometrical value of Al Qadr this time, not Laylatul Qadr, but just Al Qadr, is 335. And so the total would be the same. I mean, the total would be a multiple of 19. And then Surah 97 is titled Destiny Al Qadr. Ramadan is the ninth month of the lunar calendar, and it is the 27th night. So that's also 133, a multiple of 19. The surah number followed by each verse where Night of Destiny occurs, the verse number, the number of letters, the geometrical value of the verse, followed by the month for Ramadan and the Night of Destiny side by side, we get this long number. So we put 9 for the month of Ramadan, then we put 27, wait, 27 at the end for the Night of Destiny, but in between we put uh, each verse. We put each verse where the Night of Destiny occurs, followed by followed by the number of letters, then the geometrical value uh, of that verse, followed by the month of Ramadan, which is 9, followed by so you can see here I separated them out here in parentheses, right? So first we put 97, then we put 1, 2, and 3 for the 3 verses, and then we put the number of letters in each one of those verses, and then we put the geometrical value of each one of them, right? And then followed by the month which was 9, and 27 for the night of destiny. And we put all those numbers side by side. So then we also get this multiple of 19.
SubhanAllah.
Mm. And then here we have all these verse numbers, these 3 verse numbers, and then their geometrical values, some of the geometrical values, and some of the all total letters in those verses. Um, and we total them here, right? And Ramadan is the 9th month in the lunar calendar. Night of Destiny is 27th night. So we add them up. So total number of letters 59 plus 9 plus 27 is also a multiple of 19, 95. And then again, if you add Laylatul Qadr is mentioned 3 times, right, in this chapter, which has 5 verses. So if you add this sum, Laylatul Qadr, the geometrical value of it 3 times, you get 1230. And Ramadan is the 9th month, and the night of destiny, the 27th night. We add them up, and that again is a multiple of 19. Yeah. So remember God mindfully, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. So don't just be saying out the word without knowing what you're saying and without being mindful of God and actively remembering God. Like don't be thinking about your work or or what food you're gonna eat next. When you're commemorating God, if you want to get the most benefit out of it, like empty your mind from all these other thoughts. You know, like when people talk about meditation in today's society, they think about just emptying the mind of everything, just having an empty mind, like literally not having anything in the mind. But they forget the most important part, which is you need to bring God into the picture. Like you're meditating on nothingness, you should be meditating on God. Real meditation is meditation on God, right? This is, what brings you healing or growth and everything, right? So God is a source of all goodness. And so remember that you should be actively, mindfully thinking about God as a messenger. When he talked about, he said, the more you mean it, the more you grow, right? So just don't say the words like mean it when you're saying them to get the most benefit out of it. All right. Yes, I guess I should stop sharing now.
MashaAllah, brother.
Should
Very nice.
Thank you much.
MashaAllah. I didn't say a normal SubhanAllah. Is that
SubhanAllah.
what you, is that what you meant? Brother Mardani?
Yeah, brother. SubhanAllah, man. I'm speechless. Like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. MashaAllah.
Mm.
Yeah, like you almost get into a state, not like a trance, but like, I'm sorry for the lack of, but uh, yeah, the importance of focusing
Mm-hmm.
on God alone and uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mentioned that before. Remember, I mentioned it before about Beavis and Butthead.
yeah, I think
So that they're meditating
yeah,
because they have nothing in their minds, and they ascend all the way up to heaven.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
And they meet
Like,
Buddha also.
yeah, and the other people were like really trying, and they were thinking about like, oh my gosh, like what if this thing happened at work? And then the other person's thinking about their dog. Is like their dog fed it? Did I leave the door? And then Beavis and Butter were like, "What? Oh, just empty your mind." Okay, buddy. And then they did. And then yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, leave it to them to be able to be the ones that are able to do it. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, so I guess if there are no, are there any questions? If not, God willing, we can conclude our studies. Study. Thank you all for joining us. God willing, our next English Quran study would be on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And also, we will have a special session, as I mentioned earlier, about for the Night of Destiny starting tomorrow. So you can tune in anytime to listen to it here or join us on YouTube to watch it on God Alone TV. Um and God willing, all of you have a good rest of your day. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
God bless, brother.
God
Bye
bless
bye.
you. Bro.